Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Microsoft MakeCode Summer Learning Series. I'm so glad you're watching. Today, we'll be doing a fun countdown of the top 10 little-known features in Microsoft MakeCode. My name is Jacqueline Russell, and I'm a product manager on the MakeCode team. Whether you're new to MakeCode or have been using it for a while, I hope that you discover some new useful feature by the end of this video. If you would like to follow along with me and try out some of the things I'll be showing you, please have a browser window open on the side of this video. Microsoft MakeCode is a free online computing education platform focused on students in upper elementary through to high school. MakeCode has three primary products. MakeCode for the microbit, which allows students to program the microbit, a small microcontroller device. MakeCode for Minecraft Education, where students can code their own mods in the Minecraft game. And MakeCode Arcade, where students can learn how to create their own retro-style arcade games. MakeCode supports both drag-and-drop blocks or text programming with JavaScript or Python. So let's start the countdown of the top 10 little-known MakeCode features. Actually, before we start, just a couple disclaimers on how we came up with this list. It was unscientifically compiled by members of the MakeCode team. It includes only features that are common across multiple MakeCode editors, and they are listed in no particular order. If you have a favorite little-known feature that did not make this list, please comment and let us know. Okay, here we go. Drum roll, please. Let's kick this off at number 10 with version history. This is a feature we added to all of our editors starting in 2024. And it was to help prevent one of the worst things that could happen to a MakeCode user, and that is losing code. So let's take a look at how this works. Okay, so this is a platformer game I've been working on in MakeCode Arcade over the span of a couple weeks. And when I went to open it up this morning, I found that all my code was gone. So before hyperventilating and throwing the computer out the window, I can check version history to see if I can recover it. In any MakeCode project, the version history feature lives in the settings menu in the top right-hand corner here. Version history. So if I go ahead and click on version history, this will open up a read-only view of the project with the pane on the left side showing my project when it loads, and this side pane on the right side showing each timestamp or version of the project. So I can expand these different ones here, and you can see this little icon with the connection here. This will show me when I actually shared the project. Note that when you share a project, you do not share its version history. It's only a snapshot of the project. So let's take a look at my project here. I can click on these different timestamps to see each of these versions. So 2 days ago at 10 a.m. in the morning, this is what my project looked like, which is great. I think this is the most complete version. So let's say this version is the most complete version. I can click to save a copy of it, and that will just make a copy of my project. Or I can click to restore to the last known good version. And then I have all of my code back. Number 9 is actually 2 different features, but very similar. The green screen and streamer were both things that we had created at the beginning of COVID to help support teachers teaching remotely through video instruction. So first, let me show you green screen. Here I am in MakeCode for the microbit. And if I want to instruct my students on a particular lesson and I want to record it or do it remotely, I can access the green screen. And again, it's in that settings menu here. So settings, and then you'll just toggle this green screen icon here, and that will turn on, that will turn on green screen. And you can select from just a plain green background if you would like to visually put on a different background. You can do that. Or you can select one of the cameras that is connected to your computer. So I'm going to select this Logitech Brio, and then hello, here I am. And so in this way, you can code and kind of instruct at the same time. So look at this show number block here. It's kind of fun. You can pull out this show LEDs block and drop it in. So it's a fun way for instructors to do video recording while teaching lessons. The second thing I want to show you is called Streamer. So I'm going to turn off green screen to save my video feed. So you can turn off green screen just by doing the same thing, going to that settings menu and selecting that green screen toggle here. And this is a fun little utility here. You can see it opens up, and at the top of this menu here, you'll see a bunch of different settings in the top right corner here. So let's go ahead and click on this gear wheel icon to open the settings menu. And here you get the option to select your editor. So right now it's on Microbit, but I could select Arcade or Minecraft or one of these other MakeCode editors to be showing or demonstrating. But let's go ahead and keep it on Microbit just for now. I can select full screen, so no margins. I can create a title for my video. I can add more websites. So here I've added the microbit.org website. I can select the camera that I'm using. So you can see I'm here in the bottom right corner already. I've got a green screen behind me. I've got a circle shape for my camera. There's also document camera. So you can choose to add a document camera if you want to show the microbit or anything else in addition to your lectures. So, and a lot of other options you can choose from here in the settings menu. At the top, you can also start a countdown for your video or a countdown for timing student activities. You can turn off the webcam. You can toggle to full screen, or you could add more websites. So here I've added the microbit.org website, as I've mentioned before, and then I can go back to the MakeCode website. And then down here at the bottom is a bunch of drawing tools. So you can do arrows, like please click on this new project button. And then you can do all sorts of other drawings, so that we've got rectangles. So please select the forever block, for example. Let's see what else. There's highlighting, there's drawing. You can also select different colors. So you can pull out these different numbers. And then, of course, emojis. Everyone loves emojis, right? So look at the show number block, or, just having some fun there. So multiple ways to lecture and also annotate MakeCode using Streamer. Number 8 is copy paste. I think most people know that you can copy the text code in MakeCode from one project and paste it into another. But a lot of people don't know that you can do the same for blocks of code and images. Let's see how this works. Here I have one existing project and another new project I'm working on. And we know that you can always go to the JavaScript or Python and then copy and paste the text code. But you can also do the same with blocks of code. So for example, if I wanted to add this on button pressed function to my new project, I can do that by right-clicking on the block and selecting copy, or I can select the block and do Control-C on the keyboard. And then I can select my new project and then right-click and select paste, or do Control-V on the keyboard shortcut. And I can copy blocks over from one project to another. And of course, I can copy blocks within projects as well, right? and then paste. The other thing you can do is copy images. So for example, if I really like this heart image that I had in one project, I can open it up in the image editor, and I can use the marquee tool to select maybe a portion of the image, or I can select it all by pressing Control A on the keyboard, and then again, Control C. And then in my new project, I can click to open up the image editor and then press Control V to copy my images over. Number 7 is the debugger, an extremely powerful but little used tool that's helpful for walking through code and troubleshooting where there may be errors. Let's take a look at how to use this. This is a fun slot machine type game on the microbit where you have to press button A to stop each of the dots and kind of line them up to see if you can get 5 in a row. And obviously, I'm not very good at this game. Oh. All right. So, but it's moving so fast, I'm not quite sure what's happening in the code. So let's go ahead and use the debugger to figure out what's going on. You can locate the debugger underneath the simulator here. So right here, you'll see a little kind of bug icon. So go ahead and press that, and you'll put your program into what's called debug mode. So you'll see it looks a little bit different. There's no toolbox, but we do see this window here. This is our debugger window. It's going to list all the values in our program. It's going to give us some buttons for things to do. And then to exit debug mode once we're done, I can just click this button in the top right corner. But let's take a look. One of the nice features of the debugger is this snail icon, which represents slow-mo or slow motion or trace execution. So if I go ahead and click on this snail, you can see my program executing in slow motion. So you can see forever it's going around this for loop, and it's drawing the different LEDs on the screen here. And so this is slow-mo. You can see how the index is updating here. Okay, so clicking on the snail will disable slow-mo. So that's one helpful feature of the debugger. The other is breakpoints. So if you want to run your program to a specific line of code or block of code in this case, and then kind of step through and see what's going on, you can do that by clicking on this little white dot to the left of every block here. So in this case, I want to see when this check when function gets called. So I'm going to set a breakpoint here on this for loop. And then I'm going to run my program until it gets here. So, and then I'm going to select button A to kind of pick my dots. And then you can see it breaks here. And we can see the values all in our debugger window here. And then I can step through the code by clicking on the step button. So here I can see it's evaluating this condition. So it's checking to see if the LEDs at one column match the Y coordinate of the LEDs at the next index over to see if they're lined up. If they are not, which they are not, it's going to return false. Number 6 is also actually two different features, the snapshot and the comments feature, but both can be found in the context menu. There are a lot of cool features actually hidden in the context menus in MakeCode. Context menus are little menu dialogues that pop up when you right-click on things or long press for touchscreens. Let's take a look. So here I am in MakeCode for Minecraft, and I want to add a comment to my code. So I can add a workspace comment by right-clicking, and you'll see I see the context menu pop up here, and I can select Add Comment. So this is my program for the agent. And I can resize these comments and I can place them anywhere on my workspace that I would like. I can also add comments to specific blocks. So if I right click on a block, I'll get a context menu and I can select add comment. You'll see a little sticky note icon appear. If I click on that, it will open up and you can see it's attached to the block. And I can type a comment in here. Teleport agent. Okay. The other thing I can do is take a snapshot. So I can right click on the workspace here and select snapshot here. So snapshot will actually take a picture of your code. So here you can see I have a nice PNG of my code. It's got transparent background and it's formatted quite nicely. And this is I can use for all of my learning materials. Number 5 is workspace search. This is especially useful if you have a very large program. Let's take a look. So I have a game called Super Soccer Frog opened up here in MakeCode Arcade. This is a winning game from our recent sports game jam. And as you can see, it's pretty complex with a lot of blocks. So workspace search comes in very handy here to quickly find specific functions or variables. So to open it, press Control F on your keyboard when the workspace is selected. This will open up a little search bar here in the top right corner of the screen where you can type in what you're looking for. So for example, I'm looking for a variable called temp image. Oh, there it is, that I've used in a couple different places in my code. And I can use these arrow buttons to kind of move through my code, finding where this variable is selected. Number 4 is control clicking on blocks. So the default Blockly behavior is to have all child blocks go with their parents. So when you drag a block out of a stack, all of the blocks below it will be dragged too. Sometimes this can be annoying, but a little known fact is that you can drag out individual blocks by pressing Control on the keyboard and then clicking and dragging a block out. So let's take a look at this. I'm here in MakeCode for Minecraft, and say I want to drag this block and put it a little bit up above here. Right now, I would have to pull it out, detach the blocks, and then move it back, right? But if you use Control Click, I am holding the Control key on my keyboard and then clicking on this block, I can pull it out and move it around as I'd like. Number 3 is collapsing blocks and formatting code. Another set of 2 features hidden in the workspace context menu. This is especially useful for cleaning up large programs. So let's go back to our Super Soccer Frog program. So you can collapse a stack of blocks by right-clicking on it and from the context menu selecting Collapse Block. And you can do that for all the blocks on your workspace by right-clicking on the workspace and from the workspace context menu, selecting collapse blocks here. And that will collapse all of the blocks, all of the top level block stacks on your workspace. And if you want to kind of organize your code a little bit better, another useful feature is right-click on the workspace and this time select Format Code from the menu here. So when you select Format Code, it will kind of line things up in order. So just to tidy up your program a little bit. Number 2 is the error explainer. This is a new feature we just introduced last year to help students understand the error messages they were getting in their programs. This works for both blocks and text-based editors, but it does use AI, so you have to be signed in to use it. Here's a project I have with some errors in it. And you can see at the bottom, it has detected some errors here. I can click to expand the error pane, and maybe I don't fully understand these TypeScript or these type errors. But if I click Explain with AI button, you'll see callouts directing you to the part of your program where there's errors. So here it says, this error means a sprite variable is empty when the game starts. And then I can click next to step through these different error explanations. So I need to set the sprite variable first before I try to set its position, it looks like. Okay. So let's go ahead and move this set position down here. Okay, once it compiles, you can see there's also a new error here. So variable projectile is never assigned. What's going on here? And again, I can click this Explain with AI button here. And here it says the variable projectile is never given a value in my code. I think I must have changed the default projectile name to my enemy here and never changed it anywhere else. Okay, so you can see I've created the projectile, but I store it in my enemy, not projectile. So that's my problem here. And finally, at number 1, the code evaluation tool. This is a helpful tool for teachers to evaluate and give feedback on student projects. It also uses AI, so you will have to be signed in to use it. But you can find it at makecode.microbit.org/eval or arcade.makecode.com/eval. So here we are on the code evaluation tool. On the left side of the screen, you can see I can import a checklist. I can create a new checklist, or I can use some pre-existing checklists that have been created for some of the most common tutorials or games for the microbit. In this case, let's open up a checklist I've already created. A checklist is like a rubric. It's a set of rules that will be evaluated against a student project. I have this end of unit project checklist where I'm checking to see if there is one custom function that the student has created in their code. I'm checking if they have at least 5 variables that they use in their code, at least 2 loops of any kind. And then I'm also checking for the existence of specific blocks of code. So in this case, I'm checking that they have an array or a list somewhere. And I'm also checking if they have a conditional statement or an if statement somewhere in their code. Then for the microbit, I'm also checking that it's using some sort of input, whether it's a button pressed, on shake, things like that. And then I'm also checking that it produces output. So there's at least a block that lights up or it makes sound. And then here at the bottom, you can see I've got 2 AI questions that I'm asking as part of my rubric or checklist. One is just to help me understand what the program does that the students have submitted. And the second is asking the LLM to evaluate the quality of code in this program. So give me a little bit of judgment. Does this have good programming practices, or if there's areas for improvement? A big caveat that we put in here, a big disclaimer, is that AI can be wrong, right? So please use with caution and always review the responses that come back from the AI. You can't notice these feedback boxes here, so you can write your own feedback as well as including the output of the checklist. So that's the checklist. On the right side is where I'm going to be putting my student submitted programs. So let's go ahead and paste in a student program using the share link that they have sent to me. Okay, in this case, it's the slot machine game that we already took a look at, but pretend like this is a student project. I'm going to go ahead and evaluate my checklist against this project by clicking this purple evaluate button. And it'll go through and it'll say, yes, there is one custom function that the student has created. There is not 5 variables. I think there's 4 variables in this program, so that needs work. Please use another variable. Okay. And there is 2 loops used. Great. They do have an array block here and an if-else statement. So all of this looks good. Let's see what the AI came back with. So explain what this microbit program does. It makes a simple slot machine where 5 lights spin in each column. Okay, great. And then what did it say about the quality of the code? It's generally well structured, easy to follow, but there are some number choices and timing decisions that could be clearer. So not sure if it, okay, replacing the repeated numbers, okay, with named values. Okay, line up more directly with the 5 columns. Okay, well, again, these AI responses, you can take or leave. Now, if you want to give the results of this checklist output to students, click on this print button here, and that will actually print the results as a PDF that you can then send to your students to see. Or you can have your students, check their code against this checklist that you can send to them as well. And to do that, you can export your checklist as a JSON file that can be imported from the home page here. So this is the PDF with all of the checklist outputs. That's it for our top 10 countdown of little-known features of Microsoft MakeCode. How many out of these 10 did you already know about? And what are your favorite little-known features that did not make this list? Let us know by writing your comments at the bottom of this video. I'm going to leave you with some resources. First, if you're interested in more PD or training, please check out our makecode.com/blog and our summer PD options there. Our forum is the best place to ask questions, share tips, and get help. And many people don't know this, but we have a full set of documentation on all of our editors. Just type in the editor URL, like makecode.microbit.org, followed by /docs. You can also find other little-known MakeCode tools at makecode.com/tools. And if you're interested in joining the next Game Jam, keep your ear out on the forum, and you can check out our list of previous Game Jams at arcade.makecode.com/gamejam. Thank you all for joining the Summer Learning Series.